welcome to another webisode of my story, where I tell my life story in 30-minute webisodes. We're almost done, and then we're going to be moving on to curating a channel for you, for the viewer, because I'm going to teach and I'm going to preach that you got to start with yourself. So I started with myself, and I'll just have this my story series, I guess, to prove it. It's my testimony. It's part of how I'm overcoming the times that we're in. It's one half of the part, the other half is the blood of the lamb, but I'm not going to get into that today. Anyways, I'm so excited to have you guys here for another webisode of my story. So I've been talking about the 40 days series that I did, and this freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, I thought that I was going to go one at a time. It did not work out like that at all for me. Of course not. I'm chaos, and I love it. I embrace it. I am chaos, and it makes a lot of sense. If y'all remember, back in my Christian days, I was trying to cast demons out of myself so much, and this one lady in North Carolina, she was casting demons out of all kinds of people, and she cast demons out of me, and she was like, they're going to be right back. And she acted like it was hopeless. And then this Arizona guy, he had that same type of attitude towards me. And it's like these Christians had this. I began to think I must be a demon, and I started to embrace my own demon self during these 4 years too. And that's what led me, I think, to the shadow work and to the chakra work, which was just so healing and transformative. And I think I started to get addicted to that healing and transformation feeling. And I started to seek that out. And, it led me to Serious Joy, which had the 40 Days series, which in that he encourages you to try to manifest something. He's like, if it's your first time, manifest something small. But as you go on, you can manifest something bigger. And it really worked for me. But I wanted to put in here that it wasn't ever, I didn't ever, I don't think once, get my manifestation at the end of the 40 days. Like, it was 6 months later, after I did the 40 days of self-love, and I tried to manifest something. 6 months later, the manifestation would come in. So it wasn't exactly like I do the 40 days and then here's my manifestation. A lot of times, the things that I was manifesting, because I was manifesting money. I manifested a car. Now, that one was interesting because when the money came in, I knew that it was the money for the car. Like, I felt it in my heart. This money is to go to my car. And I walked into that car dealership because I'd already done the 40 days of self-love trying to manifest a car. I think that was in the self-joy. I tried to manifest this car. And it was 6 months previous to where when this money, I got this check come in the mail, and out of nowhere, and I knew that it was going to the car. And I walked in and I said, I have this much down. I want to pay this much in payments, and I want this type of car. And the salesman was like, well, we'll see what we have. And he looked in his thing. He said, well, we have two right now, and they both fit. And there was one, as soon as I walked out, I saw it. My heart fell in love with it, which is part of the 40-day series. And I got in, I test drove it, and I was like, this is the one I want. And he was like, well, we'll see if you can get the financing you want. And I was like, oh, I got it in the bag. And I knew the finance guy at that dealership. And I went in there, I talked to him, we had fun talking and everything. And sure enough, I got the exact amount of money down that I wanted to put and the exact car payment that I wanted. And the car dealership guy, he was kind of new though, but he was like, wow, I've never seen that happen before. And I was like, yeah, that's what happens. And this learning spirituality stuff, it began to teach me about the pre-manifest and what the pre-manifest does. There's no way I would have walked in there that confident if I had not done 40 days of working towards manifesting this. And I knew that I had that done 6 months previously. Does that make sense? Like, there is a pre-manifest process, and I was getting to know that better. And you begin to see reality a lot different too. But also, they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And all kinds of spiritual teachers appeared for me. There's still some that I love and admire, and I've never taken any of their courses, and I want to, but I'm only one person. I can only take so many courses at a time. I put my all into these courses. Like, I do all the work. If you say, spend 3 days breathing this breath work for 20 minutes every three, before you move on to the next section in the coursework, it's going to take me 3 days to do that. So, but at the same time, I looked at it like college, right? So in college, I had like a computer class, I had a writing class, I had a philosophy class, I had a psychology class, and I wasn't taking everything all at once. I had, that's how I divided my schedule up. Was I picked out the spiritual teachers that my heart felt most called to, and the other ones I still do want to pick up and learn their courses too. I think that that's very important that we, like, I will always be a student. Even whenever I move more into my teacher role, I know that it's going to be, right now it's student 6 days a week, but eventually it's going to be like student 5 days a week, teacher one. And then eventually it's going to be teacher 5 days a week, student one. So there'll always be a day to be a student for me. And I will always have a metaphysical book that I'm reading and a metaphysical practice that I'm working on. I'll always be doing that. So, because that's who I am, and it's who I want to be. It's who makes my heart happy to be. It's someone that my inner child is able to look and be like, that's cool. So that's all that it's about, really, with that stuff. But yeah, this 4 years was a deep process. I went through a couple dark night of the souls. Went through the one with the money, getting burnt out, and trying to understand the balance of wanting to live a spiritual, enlightened life, but not be in poverty, because we've always been taught that spirituality, the true spirituality, is poverty, and that's just cray, because honestly, how do we expect to move into the golden age where enlightened beings are living prosperous lives if we don't allow enlightened beings to be prosperous? So I don't know. It's hard for me to understand, but I've grown a lot through that. There was a lot of tears cried, a lot of deep suffering, because there's a suffering with, because I've always had this philosophy with my daughters that I only have my baby girl while she's a baby, and then I only have my toddler girl while she's a toddler. I only have my child while she's a child. As she moves and grows, she becomes her own, and it's hard because here I am studying, working, doing work to work on myself, to help, to heal, to grow, to be a better person, and not making no money. And I would love to take my girls out to play miniature golf, or to go-kart racing, or to play laser tag, or anything that would be fun for us, but I couldn't afford it. And it's sad, it's not that sad, it's first world problems, but there's a suffering there that you go through and you process, and I've gone through that and I've processed it. But yeah, one of my first teachers that I ran into during my sophomore year was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful healing teacher. And I think I'll put a link to her website down below. I'm not affiliated with any of these people, but for those that feel called, that maybe will find her. She's a beautiful teacher from the UK, and she teaches, and it's not going to be for everyone. It's not. I had to process a lot of this stuff. I had a big fear of hell, and my spiritual teachings, the way that I grew up, was kind of anti-Catholic Christian, which is kind of weird to say, because there's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of not similarities. And one of that is my type of Christianity taught me that you do not go through a pope, or you do not go through Mary. You don't pray to saints. You don't pray to Mary. You don't pray to Jesus. You pray to God. That's it. All you can pray to is God. You're either praying to God. I guess you can pray to Jesus. Pray, because Jesus is God. So you pray to Jesus and you pray to God, and that's it. Any other is a demon. And whenever Catholics think that they're praying to Mary, it's demons, and it's idol worship. We were taught it to look at it as idol worship. We would see like the Catholic nuns praying to their Marys and stuff, and the way that we would see it, it would be presented to us like, look at them and their idol worship. So I never really was into Mother Mary stuff, but I was called to this teacher in a beautiful way. I don't know if I want to share all this with you. I've been praying about this. I feel in my heart that it's time to be shared, and those that will find this, to see this part, a lot of y'all don't even watch into this this time period anyway, so I think that those that will find it are meant to, and it'll stay hidden for those that aren't meant to hear it yet. But if y'all remember the time where I felt like it was Archangel Michael, a light being, that was talking to me and gave me this vision of me leading a women's circle. Well, again, I do not go into meditation or my spiritual practice time trying to make contact with anything. It's uber important, because I do understand that there is false light out there, okay? For every Mother Mary, there's a false Mother Mary, and she looks just as pretty as the Mother Mary, okay? But I had a visitation during my meditation time from a beautiful goddess figure. And she told me that she was Grandmother Hannah, grandmother of Jesus, mother of Mary, who I know as Hannah in the Bible. Now, I know my biblical women. I know my biblical women so much. I know my Proverbs 31. I know all about being a biblical woman, and I know my biblical women, and I'm like, wait a minute. You can't fool me, demon. I'm not like the people in the Bible. The people in the Bible, they bow down and worship to these light beings. I did not. And I was like, you will not fool me. And because I know Hannah in the Bible is Samuel's mother, not the mother of Mary. So if you're going to tell me that I know you as Hannah in the Bible, then you're not Mary's mother. Because nowhere in the Bible does it say Mary's mother is Hannah. And she touched my forehead. And in that touching of the forehead, I got a full-on vision of multiple years stretched out. And I seen how she was the mother of Samuel, and she was a part of a priestess class, and they like lived underground, and they have these caves that a woman, she will walk into, and she goes into this thing, and there's going to be priestess there all throughout, and they all have jobs, and they know what their jobs are, and they make oils and ointments. They make oils and ointments, and this just, so the whole thing just like resonates with my soul. So I feel like this video, hopefully it'll bring in those that it resonates with their soul too, because I know that there's others out there. And like as a child, anytime you gave me any kind of plant, I would start making an oil or ointment out of it naturally. I don't know why, but it felt like I knew what these priestesses were doing and why they were doing it. And it's like women would walk into these caves there would be specific times for certain high priest women to go into these caves alive. They go in alive, and they go and they lay down on a thing, and the priestesses, all the women priestesses, like lower rank, I don't know if they're maybe they're higher rank, I don't know. They sing, and they have these ointments and these like bandages. It's like they're mummifying, like they're taking, she's alive and she's laying down, and they sing with oils and ointments and put it all over her body, and she goes into this meditative state, and she'll sleep for like months. Like, I got this knowing that you could stay in there for like months, weeks, years. And through this process of priestesshood, you could live. And Grandmother Hannah lived for 400 years to be the grandma of Jesus. And then she told me a story of running the priestess school with Mary, her daughter, who was a devout in the priestess school, and then Mary Magdalene, who was like a rebel. And there's personal reasons that she told me that story. And after that meditation session, it really, it changed my mind. She also told me that there'd be tests in the new age coming up, in the age that we're in an age where we're being tested individually, so we no longer have our sisters or sisterhood anymore. We have to do it individually. And she said that they're not going to be easy tests. That, these are trials and tribulations of life. But she promised me that she would be by my side. So she's one of my beloved guides. I went through this, and it changed how I think of Mother Mary and Mother Mary Magdalene. Like, there's a way to honor without worshiping, like without being like an idol worshiper or trying to put Mary or Mary Magdalene above God, but understanding the role that they played and learning there's value and wisdom there. So right after that, I was drawn to this teacher who she teaches about the Mary Magdalene stuff in the priestesses temples, and she invites you to do these intense stuff because to this initiation into priestesshood. And she has these intense courses, these long meditations, and she's like, if you want to do this the right way, then you got to do it with the Venus cycle. And she's the first one to introduce me to the Venus cycle. And I looked into that, and it's just, wow, so much information. I fell in love. And yeah, I was doing these intense exercises every Friday with the Venus cycle, and getting up every single morning at like 4 a.m. to watch Venus rise, the morning star, and to have these like in-depth priestesshood meditations. And there was a lot about learning about what it is to be a priestess, and it's a lot of responsibility. It's not like woo-woo, fun, it's a lot of responsibility, but this whole thing, it just resonated with my soul, and I followed it. And it's an 18-month journey. because, you know, you go through the Venus cycles, and then there's these Venus gates that you go through. And I followed it full, and to me, it was beautiful, and it taught me a lot of valuable lessons, and it helps me to embody who I am more, I think. And because I think it's a good thing to want to be holy in a way, you know? I'm not trying to aim for perfection here or anything like that, but I am trying to aim for my best, highest self. So, yeah, I was able to do that, and it was after I finished the full 18-month cycle, I was starting I was finishing the 40 days of self-love, the first one that I was recording myself, so that would be my sophomore year. And I was thinking, okay, let's just start putting out videos and teaching people. I was going to put out a teaching video on the moon, everything that I've learned about the moon, and then teaching video on Venus, and we'll go through the Venus cycle and my story, you know, because whenever I ask Spirit, you know, is it time for me to start putting out the videos on YouTube and stuff, Spirit was like, start with your testimony. I felt like that with my intuition. And it's funny because the way that I started this My Story stuff with the introduction stuff, because I asked again, you know, with my intuition and Spirit, I was like, should I put the introduction? It was like, you're not going to like the introduction. You want to introduce it whenever you're done. And I was thinking, no, I want to introduce it now. So, and my introductions are so, oh my gosh, y'all. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching that and for watching me. But yeah, I decided to do a version of, I kind of combined what I learned from my Priestess school with the Venus stuff with what I learned in the chakras, in my chakra healing stuff from Vicky Howie. So yeah, I kind of combined those two into my Venus series. But I remember whenever I first started it, it was going to be everything about Venus. I'm just going to teach you about Venus, everything that I know, and we're going to go through these gates. Yeah. You guys, I totally overestimated what goes into making YouTube videos. I really thought that, you know, I would just sit down, this is the moon, edit, put it out. Sit down, this is Venus, edit, put it out. You know, sit down, this is my story, edit, put it out. And then, you know, move on. And it has not been like that at all. Like, here I am 3 years later still telling my story. Oh my goodness. I better be almost done. And I am. But, yeah. A lot more goes into it than I thought. So the beginning of the Venus series is like, this is everything about Venus, and then we just get into purely doing the gates, and that's fine too, I think. And whenever I got down to my shadow, I remember, oh my gosh, I could not get my shadow to come out on camera for nothing. It was so crazy. It was tough. I honestly thought that it would be a lot easier than it actually was. So, and that's great. That's why I did it, you know, and I think that that's cool too, because I did it during the learning days, during you know, during my school years. So I learned a lesson while I was in school, you know, and I'll always, like I said at the beginning, I'll always be in school. I do plan to always be a student and a teacher, and I don't know. I am excited about the future though, and whenever I finish this My Series story, I really am going to move towards making my channel a lot more fun for spiritual individuals. And I hope that you guys like it. I hope that you guys come along with the ride. I would love if I could make money, but I've learned that it's not necessary. You don't have to go out and do things with your family to find love with them. You can find ways to hang out with them anyway. I'm trying my best, but I do hope that one day it's worthwhile, just a little bit, and I hope that as a community, as a whole, people can start moving into acknowledging that it's okay to love God and want to live a prosperous life. But for now, this is my heart project. This is me pouring my heart out, being me, and giving me a reason to live. And I hope that you guys like it. And I know that it'll grow and it'll evolve, and it's going to be its own thing too. But, yeah. I guess that's all that I got for you guys today. There are other teachers I want to talk about too, so we'll get to those in other webisodes, but we're almost done with this series, and I'm so thankful for all of you for being here and for sharing my story with me, and for listening. Thank you guys so much, and as always, be blessed with love. As we wrap up this incredible journey together, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you. Your energy, your love, and your support have made this My Story series truly magical. And before we part ways, I want to take a moment to thank you for spending your precious time with me. Your comments, likes, and shares have warmed my heart, and I'm endlessly grateful for the connections that we've built. Remember, your energy has created a unique and beautiful community here at the Mystic Hillbilly. Now, as we venture forward, I feel it's essential to address something crucial. Unfortunately, the online world isn't always filled with positive vibes. There are scammers out there who may misuse my pictures and pretend to be me. Please be cautious. I will never reach out to you first. The only way to get a reading from me is by reaching out to my official email or website. If someone contacts you claiming to be me, it's more than likely a scam. I would never ask you to pay for a reading in that way. Remember, I believe in truth, integrity, and the law of attraction. If you're meant to receive guidance from me, the universe will guide you to me, and not the other way around. Trust the process and let your intuition be your guide. Before we say our goodbyes, I'd like to humbly ask you for your support. As a new YouTuber, every bit counts. If you've enjoyed our time together, consider donating. The links are in the description. And for just $2 a month, you can unlock exclusive content on my Patreon, including Mystic Message outtakes, full moon and new moon card readings, and a 40-day transformation challenge. Your support would mean the world to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. Love, love, and more love to each of you. Let's stay connected in the cosmic dance that we call life. Until we meet again, stay blessed, protected, and full of positive vibes. That's all she got.